Okay, hi everyone. Welcome to our webinar tonight. So tonight webinar is about what men and women commonly need in relationships. And we want to understand the emotional needs using psychology and also real life examples and my real life experience. So this is just educational content and it's just for an educational purpose. Um, and it's not a psychological service. Okay, so why this topic matters? We know that many couples they love each other, but they still feel that they are not understood well in their relationships. So there are some common struggles in the relationship. For example, I don't feel emotionally connected, or I don't feel appreciated. Um, we communicate differently. We hear all these sentences. I feel unseen or unsafe. These are some common sentences that we hear in the relationship. Okay. So, men and women are different, but they are also similar. So now we are looking at what are, the things that shape the emotional needs of men and women. First of all, not all women and men are the same. So, some of the emotional needs are shaped by many factors. For example, it can shape by attachment style. Attachment styles come from how they relate to their early parents and childhood experiences, how they bond and connect with others. It can come from trauma history, past wounds. This also can influence on their needs of people. It can come from the personality, individual traits, and temperament. And it can also, some of the needs come from culture and upbringing. So, um, for example, different people in different culture, they might have some expectation and needs. And also it depends on emotional maturity, the capacity to understand and regulate emotions. It can also relate to childhood experiences, early life, for example, can shape some of the emotional patterns and needs. So, psychology research show that some common patterns, some of the patterns are common between men and women. There are also some differences between the needs of women and men. So, let's look at those ones. So, what are the most in relationship? So, according to attachment theory, we have emotional safety, means we need to feel emotionally safe when we are with a partner. We have a need for connection. We have a need for validation, trust, belonging, and also consistency. So these are like the six needs that in the relationship both men and women have. So a healthy relationship then helps regulate stress and nervous system activation. So, and connection is a biological need. So these are then the common, like between men and women. Now look at the differences as well. So what men commonly need? Research often shows men value respect and appreciation, They want to feel valued, acknowledged for their contributions. When they do a service, they do something, it's very important that they feel that they are respected and appreciated for what they do. They need to feel trusted. So as a man, they need to feel that, the women have confidence on them and believe in them. They also they want to have emotional peace. For men, like, they want a relationship which is low criticism and a calm relational environment. So it's very important for them. Physical affection, intimacy, and physical closeness is important for them. And also encouragement. They like, in the things they do, they receive admiration and believe in their capabilities. So these are things which are important. And also they need a space during a stress. So men like to sometimes resolve things like in a kind of going more inside and be alone. So they want some room to process and recover independently. So many men experience love through feeling respected and valued by their partner. So that's very important, we know. So that's the main need of men, as you see. Now we look at the needs of women. Okay, and now we before that we wanna look at why men sometimes withdraw. So men are often they are kind of learned um, through their upbringing that they need to hide vulnerability. So they don't want to feel vulnerable. When the mom says, boys don't cry, or like, just, be strong, and all of this from the childhood, they receive this message that vulnerability is weakness. They want to solve problems alone, avoid appearing weak, and sometimes they disconnect from emotions when they are under stress, and they can distract themselves with other things. So, and this can lead to emotional shutdown, avoidance, reduced communication, difficulty expressing needs. So, this withdrawal is not always lack of love. Sometimes it's emotional protection and self-regulation. So it's very important we know that usually culturally, the way men are brought up, um, they withdraw sometimes when things get hard, and they want to process emotions more internally. And while women usually want to process emotions through communication and externally. And this is not lack of love when they withdraw. It's kind of emotional protection and self-regulation. Now, what women commonly need? Research shows that women value emotional attunement. For women, it's very important that they feel they are truly heard and understood on an emotional level. They need communication and reassurance. For women, it's very important to have open and consistent open dialogue, open communication, and also consistent emotional reassurance. Women need more that emotional reassurance. And they also need more consistency, kind of reliable presence, and predictable emotional availability. That's the reason women more kind of look more in the relationship for committed relationship and commitment. Because in a committed relationship, they can see more consistency, predictable emotional availability. So, and then you see the needs of women are kind of a bit different from men. It doesn't mean men don't have these needs, but it's just, it's for women, these needs are more usually. And also they need emotional presence, empathy, affection, outside intimacy, and feeling chosen for women is very important. Many women experience love through connection and responsiveness from their partner. So why women become emotionally reactive? So when emotional needs are unmet, women may overthink, ruminate on what went wrong or what was meant. So we see women more into kind of this rumination, loss of thoughts, what went wrong, and like they seek reassurance. They might repeatedly check for emotional confirmation. Uh, they might protest, emotionally express distress to signal of disconnection, and they feel they are abandoned or unseen. So, an anxiety and reactivity, they show that as a response to perceived distance. So, when they feel that their partner distancing, they become anxious, they become reactive, and also kind of they might start protesting. So, according to kind of attachment research, protest behavior often comes from fear of disconnection from women, not manipulation. Sometimes we hear these things that, you're too dramatic, or we hear from men, we don't want dramas, this is the drama queen, or like when women get emotional, it gets hard for men and they can't understand why this is happening. But as we see, um, based on the way that, like, female biology and things, women, this behavior come more from, and they seek connection, and they have fear of disconnection because when we look at the women, the way they are developed, the brain through the years of um, women, like, living in the villages and things, they have to look after their children, their offsprings, and then they need the support of men, protection from men. So women naturally are more sensitive to the disconnection clues. So they are more sensitive to that. And for men, usually men, they don't detect problems in their relationship until it gets so much, or like, women react, or like they get close to the divorce or separation. They usually don't detect it early. But women, they can detect, every changes in the man behavior, and they are more sensitive to the connection clues. And when they see changes in the man, the way they communicate, the way they support, or anything they like that, they can get triggered. Um, and this is based on the biology of women and the way during years the brain of women developed. So, and there is a very famous cycle which is called pursuer withdrawal cycle, or if you have heard, it can be like anxious or avoidant dynamic. So this is the most common relationship dynamic. One person pursues, seeks connection, and the other person withdraw, pulls away. So one person become anxious and frustrated, and the other person looks for emotional distance and growth. And I can tell you, usually in most cases, the pursuer is women, and the withdrawer is a man. But it's not always like that. It can change from relationship to relationship, and sometimes men can uh, have anxious attachment style and they pursue, and the women withdraw. But it is more common, again, based on biology and the way women brain and everything design, that they pursue, they seek connections more. And men, based on the way they are raised and everything, it's more common among men to withdraw or pull away when they see pressure for connection or like criticism or things like that. So if you are aware of this dynamic, then there are ways to break this dynamic because the more a person pursue, the more the other can withdraw or pull away. And that makes many relationship goes to break up. Okay, so now we go to how men and women express love differently. A man may show love by providing support and resources. So many men show love by act of service and fixing problems, offering solutions, physical affection, touch and closeness they can do, and also loyalty and protection and acts of service. So these are the ways usually men show love. How women show love usually. Emotional care, nurturing. For example, it can be big cooking, it can be just, looking aftering, open communication, sharing things, attention and thoughtfulness, verbal affection and encouragement, emotional support and presence. So these are the way usually women show love. So, and we often give love the way we receive it. So, not the way our partner needs to receive. It's very important that when we know our partner's love language, if we give love in a way that we want to receive, that makes the relationship hard. Imagine, for example, a woman, she's giving with words or like cooking, nurturing the man, looking after him like this, and then expect the same thing from the man. But the man show by providing, by financially providing, by fixing things around the house, by, for example, being loyal and do some of the service. And women can feel, emotionally kind of deprived and say, oh, I know, he's providing, but he never say that. He never say he loves me. He never say important, appreciate me and all these things that she wanna hear because she's doing this stuff. So it's very important then men know what women wants and women know what men want. So as we said, many men like to kind of be appreciated, admired for their leading, trusted by their lady, not, for example, lady said, oh, don't do that, you're not right, they want to lead all the time. So men feel love by those things that we said mostly. So, and women is different. So if we know these differences, then when we give love, then we know how to give that our partner receive it well. But most people don't know their love language, they don't know their partner's love language, and they do not communicate that. So then it gets to the point, the man, they don't receive what they want, the female do not receive what they want because they show love in it's like they are speaking in two different languages and they can't understand each other. So now what damages relationship? So there are actually four things that's the Gottman they talk about. One of them is criticism, very important. Attacking character rather than addressing behavior is very important. Criticism, when you bring in the relationship, the other person become defensive. So, and the other things is defensiveness. When you make mistake, and instead of accepting responsibility, you start attacking. For example, your your partner say, "Why you are late?" and you start and say, "You always late as well. Remember those days you went there," rather than apologizing or saying, "Oh, I had this or that," or anyway, any mistake you make, rather than kind of be apologetic or take responsibility, you start counter-attacking. And the other things is contempt. Contempt means any disrespect or any kind of damaging, making fun of each other, feel you're superior and like, start mocking the person. All of these are considered contempt. So that's also very kind of important to be aware of that. And the last one is stonewalling. Stonewalling is also like means when things happens, rather than you communicating, you build a wall and you just, disappear, don't communicate, build a wall and like kind of punishing the other person by not talking long. So these are four things that damages relationship. So what healthy relationships need? So healthy relationships built through consistent small actions. Some people they think, oh, there are big gestures that build healthy relationship, but no, it's everyday small, consistent, persistent actions. So like emotional responsiveness, showing up for the partner's emotional beats, that's very important. Appreciation, regularly expressing gratitude and recognition. Curiosity, stay interested in the partner's inner world. Repair after conflict, reconnecting and healing after disagreement, which is very important that doing repair after conflict. Because relationship is connection, disconnection, repair, connection, disconnection, repair, and it goes through this cycle all the time. Friendship and playfulness, maintaining joy, humor, and lightness together. That's also very important. So small, consistent action matter more than the grand gestures. Imagine, for example, a man who buy um, a big expensive, for example, gift for a woman um, a couple of times a year. Do you think that's more important or kind of every day sitting with her and listening to her and asking, saying what's happening in her life and listening carefully and understanding her and so for sure she can feel more seen if there are everyday quality time, affection, and things, even if it is short, rather than big gesture buying expensive gifts and these things. It doesn't mean that doesn't matter at all, but that is not, enough for a woman to feel safe in a relationship. And for women, emotional safety is very important. Number one need of women in the relationship is emotional safety. So some of the practical relationship tools. It's very important that the weekly couples they can check in each other, ask each other, relationship checking. I have brought some questions here, but these can be like really you can come with the question that works for you. But for example, what made you feel loved this week? What helped you feel connected? Is there anything hurting or disconnecting us? What can we improve together? What do you appreciate about me? Can every week kind of check with our partners. I think maybe like asking all of them might be too much for a week. So one of the things kind of I think it would be good would be say five things that you like about me or I did good uh, this week and you appreciate about me. And say one thing that you think we can work on, or I can work on that, or I can improve, or so that's also like good thing because the ratio of 5:1 is very important. Remember this ratio to negative close. So every negative feedback or a negative interaction you have with your partner, you should have 5 positive interaction at least. So, and if the ratio is not is less than that, it's possible that resentment build up and the memory more get full of negative things. So when you want to bring something like criticize your partner, it's better not to be criticism, but when there is something in the relationship that you want to change, so you can start from your own feeling, first of all, and then you can bring that. But it's very important you also bring the things which you are happy with your partners. So my suggestion would be say 5 good things and then one things that you want to change, and in an indirect way, in the best possible way, you can say that the person doesn't feel is attacked or criticized or like go into the defensive mood. So I can bring an example here. For example, like um, your partner, if I can bring an example, would be your partner doesn't, for example, give you enough verbal words of affirmation. So it means it's not complimenting you, or when you do cooking or doing anything for your partner, it's not appreciating. So how you want to bring that? First of all, you can, for example, say, I really appreciate you do this thing right for me and that thing right. I really love this about you and that thing. There is just one thing that it's not your problem, but I feel, for example, when you do this, I feel I'm ignored. Or if you do this, if you give more appreciation when I do this, I feel more seen and I want to do more for you. So is that's a very good way to bring up something that you are upset about rather than attacking or things. And then at the end saying, yeah, I'm just happy to kind of help you and see how we can work on this. Is there anything you want me to improve in that? And like, if I do that more for you, you feel more loved and seen, and then be open to their suggestion as well. So that is what I recommend to check from time to time, because otherwise it would be things that you're unhappy, but you just, put it under the rug, and after a while it will come up as a sudden fight or explosion or things like that. It's much better that you deal with resentments kind of gradually rather than just kitchen sinking. So the goal is not perfection. Relationships are not about winning, controlling, mind reading, never fighting. It's about understanding, emotional safety, repair, growth, choosing each other repeatedly. So you see what is healthy love and what is the toxic love. Toxic love can appear controlling. Um, or people just get distance, never argue, never fight, put things under the rugs. They appear calm, but inside, they are not happy. They try to win over each other, or they say, "Oh, my partner should read my mind." These are not kind of healthy relationship. Healthy relationship is a relationship. Look at relationship as a place for growth. Um, to understand the partner, do the repair if the conflict happens, and also choosing the partner with their imperfections and repeatedly. So, and this is now go to the last slide and final thoughts. Men and women often need different things, but at the core of that, we all want to feel loved, to feel safe, to feel respected, to feel connected, to feel important. So, what I think men and women both want is kind of to be these are the five things that is underlying needs of men and women. But there are some differences that we talked about. So, and the final sentence, which is I really like, and that's the reason I choose this path and I love what I'm doing, is the quality of our relationships shapes the quality of our lives. So it's very important we create high quality and healthy relationships. Thank you very much, everyone, for listening. Now it's time for question and discussion.